In Bethesda universe, sleeping is a superpower. 1 hour of napping, and suddenly you're Wolverine with better time management. Let's try the game with a dash of realism. Yo dudes and dudes, ThisIsKetchu. And today, we're asking the big question. Can you beat Fallout 3 without sleeping? My mom tried to cheat death with a 2-for-1 reincarnation deal by checking out of life while handing me a guest pass. Her timing was off, leaving me, Ketchulina, as the sole survivor. Well, Dad was still around, for now. I made my first mistake here and built myself around melee. Strength for melee weapons, endurance for durability, and unarmed. Intelligence for skill points, and luck is a powerful motivator for all other skills. A perfect setup for no situation whatsoever. When I finally became conscious, it was my 10th birthday party. Amazing! Old Lady Palmer handed me a Sweetroll, and Butch, Walt's Human Grease-Stain 101, immediately tried to mock me for it. Officer Gomez stepped in to save the day, but I slid the Sweetroll down Butch's pockets anyway, and later loudly accused him of theft. He got into so much trouble, Jeff's kiss. Then Beatrice showed up late with a homemade mixtape. Like, ew, I didn't tell her it sucked. She's a bit stupid in the head, if you know what I mean. Down in the basement, Dad and Jonas presented me a BB gun. Naturally, my first thought was to showcase my marksmanship at the party. Dad saw this coming because, let's face it, I've always been a consistent disappointment. I shot all 50 BBs up Dad's ass.
Don't worry, you'll get the hang of it. Here are some more BBs. If you're having trouble, try crouching to steady your aim.
A few years later, after getting my butthole inspected, my childhood acquaintance, Amanda, found herself getting bullied by the tunnel snakes. I could have stepped in, but then I remembered this one time. A bigger kid kicked me in the shin during soccer. I cried, obviously, and her dad waddled over, glanced at my bane for about 3 seconds, and said, "It builds character," before wandering off. So I stayed out of it, purely to give Amanda the gift of character building. I'm thoughtful like that. Next, I took the gold. It's a test that determines your future in the world. I aced the gold, not because I studied, but because Dad was friends with the teacher. Nepotism, a silent protagonist of all my success stories. I picked unarmed, melee weapons and medicine as my tag skills. I'm sure I won't regret my choices. Fast forward 3 years, and my life turned into a soap opera. Daddy Dearest decided to audition for World's Worst Dad by vanishing without so much as a sticky note goodbye, leaving me to deal with the fallout. Thanks for the trauma, Pops. Amanda woke me up in a panic. Her dad, a vault's overlord of the land, was sending his minions to kill me because, apparently, abandonment issues run in the family. And he's a little upset that my dad ghosted him. Okay then.
I can help you escape. I have my own plan.
Not another one of your plans, Samantha.
I don't have time to...
She then handed me a 10mm pistol, and I promised to only use it as a last resort. Butch interrupted me, trying to convince me to save his mother from the roaches. I tried to convince him to leave her behind. Neither of us got what we wanted. Butch, more like Butch, am I right? The only adult on my side in this chaos was Officer Gargonzola, but I was still salty about him stopping me from dismantling Butch back in the day. Andy, the cake murderer, got a piece of my mind too. I don't even like cakes, but it's all about appearances. Seeing Stanley run for his life awakened something primal in me. The security stole one of my kills. Clearly, I've been holding back too much. Next, it was time for the keeper to face the music, and I made sure to collect my dues with interest. By the time I was done, its dungeon looked like the aftermath of a Brahmin stampede. When Amata returned to the room, she had her Lion King moment.
Oh my God! Daddy!
Before I was able to leave the vault's dust behind, Amanda followed me one last time to emotionally harass me with her feelings or whatever. I bid my goodbyes to what was left of the staff and to my friend for one last time. Out in the real game, my Pip-Boy connected to the Wasteland Wi-Fi, and after surviving the resulting barrage of pop-ups, I set my sights on Megaton, only to get verbally violated by Calamity Chain. Blood pressure rising. I was scraping bottle caps out of vending machines broke. Moira offered me work, treating me like I just licked a live wire, bear, and made me drink piss water, while a cultist steamed into my ear. Nothing says welcome to Megaton like migraine and radioactive dysentery. My next gig was a lovely little stroll to the minefield. Super fun. Would totally recommend this to someone I hate. This is where the no sleeping challenge reared its ugly head. Every graze, scratch and paper cut meant burning through my precious steam packs like they were scratch tickets. The local sniper did me a favor and self-sudoku'd on one of his own mines. Could have saved me some trouble if he wasn't already circling the train. In a nearby building, I found beds. So many beds. Spiritually, they mocked me. Back at Megaton, I handed Moira her damn mine, rained her steam pack supply dry, and then got flirted with by her god.
I got my eye on you.
Oh my gosh. Are you, like, flirting with me?
Don't try anything.
You're giving me such mixed messages. I had a casual chat with Slim about disarming the nuke sitting in the middle of town. The dude was uncomfortably chill about letting a complete stranger tinker with a bomb the size of a small house. I swung by Moriarty's to ask about my dad, but apparently directions cast extra here. Our conversation ended with me escorted out of town by a lead hailstorm. I was so ready to file a complaint about customer service. Later, I snuck back into Megaton under the cover of night like a hungry raccoon, scavenging snacks and loose caps. Yes, it was that bad. In a house near Megaton, I had a custody battle over the pantry. Radiation be damned. A small price to pay for that stale food. 3 mole rats jumped me outside. I used my crappiest knife, so it hurt extra, for all parties included. The way things were going got me so angry, my blood pressure could be sampled from a drum and bass track. When I finally got to Tenpenny Tower, some screeching ghoul was hugging the intercom, like it was open mic night. I did the diplomatic thing straight off the bat. Then I bolted to the top of the tower and flicked the switch for the bomb in Megaton without saying a word. As I stood there at ground zero, admiring my creative interpretation of urban renewal, Moira showed up, freshly ghoulified, but still radiating cheer. Gotta admire her optimism. Oh my gosh, girl! I'm so happy for you. Leaving Megaton, I got interrupted by some kid yelling about his problems. Naturally, I promised to help, just to raise his hopes high enough to watch them fall. It's called character building. His, not mine.
I hope they get you too.
Next, I dropped by Grandma Sparkles, placed a mine in her bed for some surprise extra support, gave her house a very thorough inventory reduction sale, and when I tried to clean out her pockets, she caught me and did the unthinkable. She ran for her worthless life. Naturally, I chased her around for laughs, but when she embraced her dream of becoming a radioactive mermaid, I called it quits. I found a mysterious pipe on my left. Inside, a welcoming party of ghouls, hungry ones. Apparently, nobody told them it was BYOB. Bring your own brains. Fighting fair wasn't in the cards, so I broke out my rainy day mines. In a long list of genius plans I've concocted, I wanted to make my last mine count. I placed it near a gas leak for that Hollywood flare and tried to get the ghouls' attention. The plan backfired. At the end of this tunnel of bad ideas was Hubris Comics Publishing. Silver lining? I think I came out ahead on medical supplies, but only barely. I think that's going to be how I now calculate the value of my whims. Hubris Comics welcomed me with open arms, then promptly kept removing mine, between eating a grenade and the loving embrace of a hyperactive ghoul. I learned that I am apparently their target demographic. Before leaving, I scavenged for healing items, bringing my net positive back into question. I also tried playing a Grognak game, but gave up because reading is hard. Back outside, I looked for Grandma Sparkles, but she was gone. She was out there, somewhere, wild and free. On my way to Rivet City, I discovered a boat, where some lady asked me to find her daughter somewhere I wasn't going. I agreed and 360 noped out the other way. Back on track and still lost, a Talon Merc blasted off my arm. Yup, the same arm. I also lost something else, but it wasn't anything useful. My Steampack reserves were hurt the most. Keeping my limbs on was starting to feel optional. Back on the right course, I sailed across the drink to Jeff's Memorial, got used as target practice by the super mutants, and reached Rivet City. Finally, after trading all my junk for medical supplies with Butch at Walter White, I gained access to the boat, freaked out the guards by waiting 12 hours in front of them. They still told me to hold it right there. From there, I climbed to the top to scream at birds, "Burn weren't a witch. That's where I met this old bag of pity, who wanted to help me with his dramatic retirement plan. He asked for a push. He was so pitiful. I didn't have the heart to do it. Stop heckin' shooting at me! I was only trying to help. Never again! Inside the big boat, I stole any supplies that weren't nailed down, which wasn't always easy, since I'm about as stealthy as a firecracker in a tin bucket. I bought all of Cindy's stim packs. She basically wished for me to get hurt again, and then drank like a sponge. With her problems, I didn't need to add to the mix. Next, I raided the old Zimmer's room, because freak that old goat. Then I swung by the clinic and performed some palliative care on a patient. At the science lab, Dr. Lee gave me the directions I wanted, but refused to become my stepmom and give me an allowance. Dr. Zimmer stopped me on my way out to prove my point.
You look a bit more weathered.
Up yours, old man. You look a bit more littered. On my way out, I swiped a teddy bear from the church and tried my hand at charity. Nobody cared.
Everything looks okay here.
At Jeffersons Memorial, looking for clues about where my deadbeat dad could have gone, the super mutants helped me realize my own shortcomings. I built my character with melee in mind, but used guns anyway, because I didn't exactly care about getting hurt. My garbage gear and my trash tier gun skills didn't exactly help. It's okay, I never needed anyone to ruin my day. I'm an adult, I'm more than capable of doing it myself. Once I listened to the holotapes left by my dad, I left the memorial, only to get my torso blown clean off by a bloatfly. What a great day this turned out to be. Power walking to Smith Casey's garage. I lost some weight by feeding the usual neighborhood dogs and rats with my body. Standard outdoor experience. Oh, and I remembered that I could inject stim packs directly into my limbs instead of just chugging them. Revolutionary. Inside the garage, more rats. Great. Now they're an inside problem too. I turned the chisel tools into splinters and entered Vault 112. Inside Tranquility Lane, I ignored Professor Betty, punched Timmy just because, released the red saviors upon the boring plane, punched the soldier into sleep because I wanted a gun but couldn't have one. Children aren't allowed to have guns. And before leaving, I gave Dad a beating for old time's sake. What? You didn't like being a dog? I told my dad I wouldn't join him, and changed my mind twice to mess with him. Back in the God's green, brown and grey wasteland, I shed my Vault 112 skin, watched my pops abandon me again, and made my way solo to Rivet City. While waiting for Dad, I played with Carlos and pretended to be a god for 12 hours. After Dad finally dragged himself to the science lab, I fed some veggies to the science lady.
You are easily amused, eh?
Oh my gosh, Jessica, stop judging me! Papa told me to clear the super mutants at Jeffersons Memorial. I think there was a step we could have easily skipped, but that's okay. Waste my time. Please, I insist. The super dogs tried to crack me open like a piñata, but thanks to my newfound toughness, I managed to get through the stress test of scrubbing the green stains off the walls without too much trouble. Get your hands off me, Steven! You too, Chad! Back off of me, Ricky! I let the Geek Squad in and got sent back to the basement. Rude, but okay. Pops gave me an earful about blowing up a garbage dump and whatnot. Then fuses and more strategically ill-planned wasted time. Until the Enclave showed up to help. I took the opportunity to shoot down their officer from my timeout pipe and skipped through a fence using one of their soldiers as a stepping stone. The Enclave was tougher than expected, but I've become more annoying to get rid of than an aggressive rash. During the negotiations with the unexpected philanthropists, my dad, being the drama queen he is, overreacted wildly and is now purifying things in the sky. Dr. Lee and her gaggle of brain donors became my problem again. Next plan. Collective suicide. Dr. Lee of course stopped me, claiming there was no time to waste, just to waste time telling me that. I accepted my fate as the babysitter and hauled them through the pipes, minus one person, to safety. I mostly just ignored the Enclave and used the nerds as distractions. I delivered the cargo to the Citadel, most of it in one semi-functional piece. Mission accomplished. Garbage successfully dumped. The quartermaster refused to trade with me, and from Moldy Kid I got the location of Vault 87. On the way there, and you're not going to believe this, rats. And then came the rat scorpions, which were technically something new. Nice. Speed bumps come in pairs, and you will feel each of them twice. It's like too much the fun 2 squared. I regret complaining. Please, Todd, give me the rats again. Then, a super mutant blasted that arm off again. At a little lamplight, I couldn't talk my way in with my charisma of a sunburned fungus. Instead, I had to strike a deal with the head toddler, rescue his daycare squad in exchange for passage through Toy Town. Right outside, I got into a scuffle with a super mutant and a mole rat dog tentacle monster. Then a raider crashed the party. No idea what was happening, neither did they, probably. Later, another greenskin decided to spice things up by blasting the other arm off. Change is nice, I guess. Of course, no walk outside is complete without feral doggo mauling. I ate the pack. Emotional eating. Don't judge me. When I finally reached the kindergarten of the damned, I initiate the daycare withdrawal process with my signature move, a poorly placed grenade. Reality promptly blue-screened as soon as things got interesting. Plan B, screw the kids. I dragged back to little lamplight, ready to use my grey matter to smash through the grey stone if I had to. Which is exactly what I did. I squeezed through the tiniest cracks like a rat. With all my rat fighting experience, I'm basically a certified expert at this point. Turns out, doing it this way locks your weapons away. Back to the kindergarten I went. To avoid any awkward small talk, I filled the guards outside with lead. One slave tried to make a break for it, but before my instincts kicked in, his scholar pulled a magic trick. Inside, nobody rolled out the welcome mat. You'd think I'd be used to it by now, but nope. Humans are just wired for rejection sensitivity, I guess. I've realized I laugh at some truly awful things. Like the bloody mess perk, it always gets me. Not because it's mean or horrible, but because of the absurdity. I blame the years of slapstick cartoons. Watching people get flattened like pancakes probably rewired my brain. It was here that I found my first shotgun. It was love at first bang. I made it sing. It was a ripping recital. Anyway, I let the stupid kids go free. Same for some lady. The old dude? Nah, he didn't wanna leave. And then there was one last guy. He was too dense to understand what freedom meant, so I had to convince him. Even after all that, he was still loitering on my way out, so I tested my super sledge on him, purely for stress relief. Shockingly, Mayor Max Stupid of Idiotsville refused to let me in. Because the kids hadn't officially returned yet, they were standing right there next to the daycare entrance. I had to remind them that home is a few more steps away. Then I finally got my golden ticket into the murder pass. At first I played it safe, slow and steady, but the longer I fought, the bolder I got. By the end, I was going toe-to-toe with super mutants, swinging my super sledge like someone stole my snacks. With 30 steam bags ready for acupuncture therapy, I wasn't exactly worried. Thanks to the Swimming in Peace to Amuse Moira event back in the day, I now had the rad Regeneration perk, which radically fixes my broken limbs whenever I'm radiated enough to rival a nightlight. Why am I telling you this? Well, I couldn't hold back anymore and went to Flavortown on some porcelain punch. Despite glowing like a human bug zapper, the super dogs didn't let me into their gang. They stayed as busy as ever. I freed Fox and, like a true leader, delegated 100% of the heavy lifting while I focused on the essential task of perfecting my snack game. Delegation is key to good teamwork, and my mouth was working overtime. After receiving the gig as an IOU, I ran straight into the loving arms of the Enclave. Funny thing is, I passed that room earlier, remembered exactly what was going to happen, then promptly forgot until my retinas were flash fried. This always happens. The Cullen L. Stinky Bum Bum grilled me for the coats I didn't have. I told him I'd left them in my other pants. Unfortunately, these were my only pants. Big Brother swooped in to save me from the perils of small talk. I freaked him out with a full exorcist head spin, and they gave me my stuff back like nothing ever happened. Outside my cell, some officer thought he could strong-arm me back into it, but I scared him off with one good bicep flex. Absolute dominance. Everything was looking up, until Cullen Stinky Bum Bum told his entire crew to take the Sewer Slide Express. After turning the loot dispensers into canned soup, I told the president exactly what he wanted to hear, and grabbed his erect thing. You know, the one that screams, compensating. One quick application of a logic spell, and his circuits fried harder than a diner's grill during the breakfast rush. The whole place erupted in flames, and the hardest part of my daring escape, admitting I had a problem with beer. Step 1 is awareness, right? Outside, Fox, the best boy, was busy turning the Enclave into a fine red mist, wielding his new toy like a kid who just unwrapped the deluxe Nerf blaster on a Christmas morning. I gave him a big thumbs up for his laser hose.
Yes, and the most fascinating one at that. Whoa, this technology is amazing. Imagine the evil, that can be eliminated with such tools.
And decided I best not hang around him too much. Stopping by Rivet City, I kept my tradition alive by bullying the guards. Hit up the Met Professor and Cindy for some stimpaks. And, instead of tackling my emotional baggage like an adult, I stole some beers. Alcohol withdrawals tank charisma and agility. But when charisma is already sitting at 0, it's like trying to dig a hole after you've hit bedrock. Next up would be nether. You can't divide by 0, but you can drink to forget that math exists. Out of sheer curiosity, I handed the modified FVV virus to Count Dooku. Nothing happened. What a waste of perfectly good biological weapon. On the plus side, Sarah Lyons, my new bestie. Avatar, you've been replaced. Let me join her exclusive book club and learned me how to rock power armor. Besties who slay together, stay together. Captain Derpeline refused to comply again and just told me good luck. While moonwalking out, I fell through a hole in the floor. No railings? Osa would like a word. I've never noticed this before, but Liberty Prime scraped the walls during his grand exit like a drunk uncle trying to pack his RV out of the driveway. Quality entertainment. The grand finale had arrived. The Brotherhood of Steel versus the Enclave. Begin! I watched the Paladingos practice team building. And despite my adventure being almost over, I couldn't hold myself back from looting all the bodies littering the ground for gear. The boredom of watching Liberty Prime do all the work drove me to drink. Sitting back with a cold one in hand, I was rudely interrupted by some crazy glitch yelling at me for asking questions I definitely didn't ask. I gave diplomacy a shot, and 9 years and 9 minutes later, we reached Jeff's Memorial. Inside, the Enclave soldiers put up as much resistance as wet tissue paper. Sarah, my bestie, ranked it up to Super Saiyan and started firing key blasts. I crushed some chems with my hand, slapped myself in the mouth, picked up a shiny new addiction, and went ham on the remaining canned crayon eaters. There was never a chance for me to end things all diplomatic-like with Colon's Stinky Bum Bum. Good. When the chance to reincarnate myself came up, I went for it. I finally understood my mother. Except, I didn't know the purifier code. Nobody told me, or I didn't listen. After flipping through notes and audio logs like a stressed out student cramming for finals, I went with a shot in the dark, the revelation number. Jackpot! And I was well on my way to the next life. My life flashed before my eyes. It was beautiful. No.
Everything's fine. You're safe. You're in the Citadel.
Oh my gosh! And that's it for this time, folks. To be honest, I think I will play my Fallout without sleeping from now on. It adds an excellent layer of depth to the game. You should try it. Do the engagement things to help me out. Tell me in the comments what I could have done better, or if you have other challenges/games for me to play. Thanks for watching, see you next time, take care now, bye bye then.